Hello and welcome to Gluten Free and Gluttonous. Today I'm really excited to talk to Morgan, aka How to Celiac, the British spelling, and I'm really excited to talk to her about her journey to her celiac diagnosis, as well as how she's used comedy and community to build this really wonderful spot on the internet with her various recipes and videos and memes. I've always loved her content, so I'm really excited to see what she has to say today, as well as what tasty, gluten-free, gluttonous treat she's brought to share with us. Let's talk to Morgan. So welcome to Gluten Free and Gluttonous. I'm your host, Julie Young, and today I'm here with Morgan, aka How to Celiac. So I would love to hear a little bit about your diagnosis journey, how long you've been diagnosed, and sort of what that process was like at the very beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was diagnosed nearly 4 years ago exactly, if you don't mind me being crass and talking about bowel movements, which I always do.
That is part of the lovely package.
Great. I had been having really interesting bowel movements for a very long time, and it wasn't something that I had thought was an issue, because I found that maybe my group of friends would probably all have some sort of bowel issues that they've not yet discovered. It wasn't until I was realizing it was getting a little bit worse, and I was like, maybe life shouldn't be like this. Maybe you can have regular bowel movements, and I've just never experienced that. So I booked an appointment. Right at the end of the consultation, she was like, actually, let me just quickly get your blood tested for celiac disease. Absolutely fine. Then I went and got my blood tested on a Thursday. The nurse said, you'll probably get your results in a week or so. The next day I got a call, and the nurse was like, hey Morgan, yeah, looks like you've got celiac disease. We'll get you booked in for an endoscopy. Okay, see you later. I was like, that's weird. And I had one final great Sunday where I had every pastry under the sun and a Big Mac. In terms of information, I didn't get a lot, but that's why I started an Instagram called How to Celiac, because it was for myself, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So yeah,
I'm curious, had you done any sort of content creation before this? I feel like you've got such a great portfolio, I guess you could call it, of recipe content, but memes and videos. It's a very well-rounded source of both entertainment, but also information and useful recipes and stuff like that.
So yeah, I think it just is a culmination of all my hobbies in a way. Is that I love to bake. I love making content. So
yeah,
I did a degree in performing arts. So that sort of translates well into making skits. And I don't know, I've always sort of done that. One of my previous jobs, I produced YouTube videos for a charity called Braveheart Christchurch, where we went around and interviewed a bunch of people. But then in terms of just what I do now, is really just things that I really like to do. And I think it's funny how many of us all have the exact same experiences. In terms of the comedy aspect, that's probably just how I process information in life generally. I like to make people laugh, and I like to be laughing. So just
that's a perfect combination. Yeah.
In terms of baking, though, I've always loved baking. My first job was in a bakery. When I was diagnosed, it took me a really long time to realize about all the things I couldn't have, and so it was meeting a bunch of challenges along the way, instead of really taking it all at the start. And one of those challenges was oh, hold on, I'm not going to be able to eat all my grandma's delicious baked goods, and how can I make them for myself? I was just well, no, I can't imagine a future where I don't get to eat those again. So it's a really fun challenge to remake all of these.
In terms of the community that you've created with your channels, do you feel like it's helped you at all with your diagnosis, or have you had a lot of people reach out to you that coming to your channel, finding your content has helped them with their diagnosis, because that's how I found you. You know, that's something that I just think is huge, especially because we've had such isolating, weird pandemic times. And I don't know how it feels on the other end of the screen for you.
Yes, sorry, Lincoln's moving the thing. Yeah,
he's the assistant content creator.
Yeah, he's his own. He's way better than me. I don't even know why you're interviewing me. So be asking him. Okay. Yeah. So, it feels really odd to say, but yeah, I do get quite a few messages of people like that have really enjoyed my videos and it's helped them to see like a comedic side, because you know it is hard to process. Definitely during lockdown, you're not really seeing anyone else experiencing it. You don't get to go out into the world. So I did get a few people, and that's so kind. I was really embarrassed talking about it because I'm like, oh, I'm just making jokes. Like, it's nothing serious. But the Instagram community has helped me as well, especially starting off. I think I started my Instagram like in 2018, because I went and had a really, really good pizza initially, which is an amazing place for gluten-free eating, by the way. And I was like, people need to know about this pizza. Of course, people already know about this pizza, but I was so inspired by that particular pizza.
So thinking about, people who are newly diagnosed, or maybe who have been diagnosed and like had a really rough time of it, like haven't had any good information, what is sort of like your top piece of advice for them to sort of wrap their minds around their diagnosis and set themselves up for success?
This is a tricky one, because I think there's just so much, but you don't want to bombard people with so much information when they're first diagnosed, because it can feel so overwhelming. So probably just, be kind to yourself, and if you make a mistake, it doesn't make you a bad celiac or a bad person. It just means you made a mistake, and we learn from our mistakes. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've made a mistake, eaten the wrong thing, or just done something quite silly and gluten myself. Like, there's heaps, but I think it's just important just to like be kind to yourself and understand it is a big life change, and food is a huge part of life, and so just give yourself time to adjust. You don't need to do everything perfectly right away, and yeah. I've got mine.
You can go first. What do you have?
Okay, so this is from the bakery that I went to this morning.
Okay. What's the name of it?
Libby's.
Libby's.
Free Bakery. It's in Notting Hill in London. And this, I did get something there. I'll send you a photo if you'd like. But this is their cinnamon bun. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful?
So good.
I don't know how they got like all of the folds,
like
because that's so
a
difficult
knot
to do with gluten-free dough and stuff. So like I'm
right.
overwhelmed. Like, how good does that look?
That's amazing. And it's like a good size too. That's something that I learned very quickly, was that often you like see the package or you see the picture online, you're like, oh, amazing. And then you go to get it and it's this big. This is one, so Cats, they have like hand pies and like Twinkie knockoffs and all sorts of stuff like that. So this is basically like, a gluten-free Little Debbie's. I don't know if they would want me to say that, but that's...
I know what you mean. I would say it.
And they're so good. So they're in the freezer section.
Yeah.
And they're like a pretty good size. And so I know a lot of people in our celiac community have other dietary restrictions and food intolerances and stuff like that. So these are gluten-free, dairy-free, nut-free, and soy-free.
Oh, hey, that's so good.
I just want to thank you so much for joining me today. I love all of the content that you make. I think it's super helpful. And I feel like even for people who aren't necessarily celiac, anyone with like dietary restrictions understands the battle and can appreciate it. So thank you so much for chatting with me and for sharing all of your lovely content.